Before I move on here, I just want to say that all rights reserved are for Pokemon. I'm just reviewing this finals for you guys watching your video. Thank you guys so much for letting me do that, Pokemon. And again, all rights are reserved to them. This is their property, their content. I don't claim it or call it my own in any way. Let's continue with the video. Welcome to the finals of the 2025 EUIC Championships. We have our boy Wolfe Glick. Now I say our boy because a lot of us have joined the VGC community from his videos and have kind of gotten engulfed in his such interesting characters and teams he develops. Here's another one. It's a Koraidon, Amoonguss, Incineroar, and Screamtail team, Gothitail, Fluttermane. Basically a Parish Trap team, which if you guys don't know, he became a 10-time regional championship winner in Toronto with another Parish Trap team. So he has a very good track record with, I believe every single thing he's entered with a Parish Trap team, he's won. So to the moment, he won in the past, like in 2012, I believe, and now he won in Toronto. And before this happened, there was a GC winner that also had Parish Trap, and no one knew who it was. After this event, Wolfe disclosed that it was him who won that event. Now, he did use a fake account, so there was no championship points from it. But it didn't really matter for him. It was just to test out the team and to see if he could do it. Now, we're here also with Dylan. Dylan has a very interesting team as well. It's a little bit different twist on that kind of Miraidon team that we saw become so famous with Luca at the World Championship. Basically, every single Pokemon except Incineroar and Iron Threads are very different. Now, I also think it's a very good team. It has different things that it offers. But against this specific team, Wolfe can't really use Parish. And he mentioned in an interview that he realized right away, hey, I can't do Parish successfully. It has Volt Switch, Parting Shot. It has all these different things, as you can see here on the team. They just wouldn't allow it to work very well. So let's go ahead and get right into the match and see exactly how this plays out. I know the outcome, but I'll be reviewing it on a step-by-step process, kind of just thinking about like, wow, look at how these players at such a high level can even play and how they adapt to the situations that they're in. Let's go ahead and get started here. As you can see, the leads are Koraidon, Fluttermane, and Incineroar and Urshifu, which is a really strong lead for both of them. Urshifu is Ursha Dark, so it can do some solid damage to that Fluttermane. Wicked Blow is always critical hit. Now, this Incineroar can't pin the Fluttermane, but it can definitely pin Koraidon with that Fake Out. I believe it's running Fake Out. If it's not, that'd be interesting, but I believe it is. Incineroar is going to be switched in here, and they are going to close combat, I believe. Let's see what Wolfe does. Okay, so he's swapping in the Incineroar, which is really smart because it's going to lower both of those attackers' attacking capabilities with the Intimidate. And then let's see what he ends up going for in Koraidon. I think with Koraidon, it's super dynamic because it's a different set. This is a Life Orb set. And he ends up going for Close Combat, which basically melts everything away. Now, the only bad side is when he goes for Flare Blitz, he takes so much recoil damage, and the recoil damage is something that I personally don't like. Now, I ended up using this team in the following Grand Challenge, and it was a lot of fun. I love this core. Obviously, I'm not as good as Wolfe with Parish Trap, but it was really fun. You can see that Wicked Blow goes into Incineroar instead of doing the massive damage. It ends up only doing some damage because the attack has also been lowered. Now they're switching in the Fluttermane, it looks like. And I believe that the reason they did this was because they thought it was going to be close combat into the Incineroar, or a fighting type move into the Incineroar, since it would be super effective. Let's see what they end up finishing up doing, though. Close combat into that Urshifu will melt it, like I said. I think they faked out the Koraidon last turn. I wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to make sure my mic was not facing the wrong way. So Incineroar ends up being taken out, which is really smart. Just a hard switch to get that immunity from the close combat. Let's see how this ends up playing out. Speed was heightened from the sun, obviously. They end up terrestrializing almost right away. Turn 2, it looks like. And they terrestrialize the Incineroar into Ghost. Okay, so they think they're going to close combat Incineroar, which would make sense. But knowing Wolfe, he saw the Ghost Terra, and he's like, I'm just going to go for this guy because the only thing you can do is protect or detect. Close combat does not connect, obviously. Let's see what they end up doing with his Incineroar. They U-turn into the Flutter Mane, so now they're going to reset their Intimidate, which is obviously going to play a part because this is a attacking Mon here with this Koraidon. I believe, wow, this is just such an interesting match. Early riser for Farigiraf coming in clutch here. I don't particularly like Farigiraf, but it is a Pokemon that is super necessary for VGC right now because it does so much with that Armor Tail without having to actually have Psychic Terrain. So you can still have your own terrain if you want it from like Miraidon with the benefits of Psychic Terrain priority stop. So Urshifu's been living a little too long in my opinion though. He withdraws Urshifu, which is pretty smart, and they send out Incineroar to kind of just chip down at that attack stat. Flutter Mane goes down, Koraidon goes down. Now Koraidon usually was run with, I think, Clear Amulet, or it was run with Loaded Dice for Scale Shot. This is a completely different set, but this one just prioritizes in high attack, high reward, with the cost of you taking a lot of damage. They do Shadow Ball the Incineroar spot, though, I think predicting that it was going to come in, and now they Flare Blitz. I believe it goes into Incineroar, so Incineroar is out. Now if Wolfe decides to switch out this Koraidon, it would just reset its attack and it wouldn't have a way to bring it down. So that is huge for Wolfe here. It is a good pickup, but don't count out Dylan yet. Dill has a couple of tricks up its sleeve, especially this Trick Room. So as a lot of you guys know, Trick Room basically what it makes is the slowest Pokemons go first, so it adds priority to them. Basically just switches speed tiers. Here comes the Urshifu. We know the sun is up, so that Flutter Mane is super high speed. Koraidon is max speed, so it's always going to be moving last now. Moonblast from Wolfe here would be really smart, but let's see what he ends up going for. I believe Moonblast into Urshifu would KO, unless it's Focus Sash. I forgot to check the items real quick at the beginning. Let's see. Either way, like, they've both been playing so well throughout this match so far. I mean, it is like turn 7, 8, and only one kill has been picked up, which, I mean, is honestly impressive. Psychic does not end up taking out Koraidon. The Wicked Blow does take out the Flutter Mane because it already had some chip, I believe. And this close combat will melt away Urshifu. Ooh, but it holds on with that Focus Sash. Again, if Wolfe brings out the Amoonguss, though, it will be the slowest thing on the field and it will move first. So I believe that's what comes in next. This Amoonguss has the Mental Herb so that if taunted, it cannot be stopped from using those, support moves like Rage Powder, Protect. And they're bringing in Incineroar. That's so interesting. Incineroar just kind of to lower the attack, I believe. Let's see what Wolfe does here. Oh no, they don't bring Incineroar. I think they are going to commit the full kill with Koraidon. No, Incineroar will be the play. They're going to Psychic it again, which is, I think, what he sees the line of play happening here. They're going to Psychic him. Incineroar is obviously a Dark type, so it is immune to Psychic. But let's see what he locks in. He has 10 seconds left in this move. What will he do? At this point, the crowd is pretty tense, but everybody here was rooting for Dill. And I understand he was a European player, EUIC, so a lot of people felt real strongly towards him winning. It was his home field advantage, and it was kind of like the ultimate underdog story. I watched the podcast later on, though, where Wolfe explains where, like, even though he was the big dog and Dill was the underdog, at some point in the match, he realized that he was the actual underdog because of all the support that Dylan had from everybody there. People were cheering for Dylan. People were cheering for him to win. They were doubting Wolfe, and on top of that, they were making it seem like Wolfe wasn't going to be able to make the job happen. We still don't know what happens yet. I'm watching this as a review with you, but so far, they seem pretty neck and neck. There hasn't been a per se wrong play that will cost you the game. And with Wolfe, he's so good at micromanaging everything that even if he does make a wrong play, he can always bring it back. Now, Dylan here has been playing perfectly, bringing in the photographs to stop those fake outs, making sure that they switch in and out. The only thing I would say was a big loss for them early was that they don't have their Incineroar anymore. At the same time, though, Wolfe doesn't have his, what's that thing called? His Fluttermane anymore. And Fluttermane is a Pokemon that's really necessary for this team to function well because it acts as like that speed control. Now, Amoonguss ends up living that Psychic there. Special Defense did fall, though. Electro Drift, I believe, goes right into this Incineroar, but it does not pick up the kill because of the Protect. The only thing I can think Wolfe would do here is he's on his back legs. Let's see what he ends up doing. Super interesting to be in this position for Wolfe where he feels like maybe there is a way for him to lose. We've only seen him win. And in one of his recent interviews at the end of last year, he said, I feel like I've done the community a disservice because a lot of you have been done a disservice by me. And I apologize for that because I made this game look easy and made you think it's easy to do what I do. Which honestly hit hard because, again, being new-ish and trying to play and get points even in GC, sometimes I get discouraged because I don't do as well. And I can't imagine him and all his accolades that he has and how he's done them and still being as good as he is for as long as he's been. Now, let's see what the game is progressing as. Wolfe still has all his Pokemon. Dylan has all his Pokemon. But that Electro Drift just went into Incineroar. And you can hear the crowd kind of like clapping in the background. Happy that Wolfe got taken out there with his Incineroar. Because we all know that Incineroar is basically Wolfe's spirit animal, right? So, here comes in Koraidon, which is on really low HP. We can see that Amoonguss and Koraidon are both really low. But I believe that Koraidon is faster. I don't remember right now if Trick Room is up. But this does not seem pretty good for Wolfe. I believe he's going to Rage Powder. And he's going to try to take out a Pokemon. But with that Life Orb, it's going to KO him. So more than likely, Wolfe is going to end up losing this first set. Which is super, as a Wolfe fan, hard. But let's see if he can pull it back. Or if Dill is going to be your 2025 EUIC champion. At this point, a lot of these players are just getting knowledge as well to see speeds tiers, to see what happens. So close combat right there. Miraidon does live the close combat, meaning that it's a little bit more bulky than expected. Koraidon does lose some HP there. The Electro Drift does go into Koraidon though. And now it's just Amoonguss against the world. I don't believe Amoonguss has it in it to end up pulling it off here. But, let's see what the crowd is doing here. I'm pretty sure the crowd is going crazy.
Using the information wisely to see how much this close combat does into the Miraidon.
If you guys can hear that, Let's Go Dylan is being played loud. And I believe exactly this is the point where Wolfe, in the podcast he was on, was like, then I realized that as much as I thought Dill was the underdog, in this situation, the underdog was really me. And that just fueled me up to get even better in the matches and try to do my best to win. Now, again, this first match, as we can see, Dill has maneuvered it to a 3-0, basically. I believe Amoonguss doesn't pick up a kill anymore. Let's see what happens. 10 seconds left. We understand now that Koraidon is faster than their Miraidon. For Farigiraf, I believe's only move is Psychic. Helping Hand is pretty good on it. So we kind of know a couple things. Wolfe obviously had the open team sheet there, which open team sheet, if you're not aware, is in these competitive Pokemon tournaments, you know exactly what moves your Pokemon has and the other Pokemon have. You know exactly. You can see the crowd. Look how crazy they're going for Dylan's win. You know exactly what items the other Pokemon has, and basically you just don't know how they're trained. So EVs and IVs, stuff like that. Dylan getting one win on Wolfe. Wolfe there, feeling the pressure on his back. Again, he is a multiple winner. Like, he's won a lot of things. Dill has not won anything. Everyone's behind them. Let's see if we can hear the crowd. Look at them. Look at them go. This is kind of crazy because we've never seen that type of support for people that aren't Wolfe, right? Wolfe is usually the one getting all the support, getting all the love. Let's fast forward, though, into the next match. Let's see. Next match starts. Okay, starts right here. So now we're at the next match. Remember, Dylan is 1-0 against Wolfe Glick, the GOAT. At this point, Wolfe has been the most winning person so far. Dylan has one up on them. Newcomer, big underdog, but has all the support in the world. Wolfe Glick back against the wall. Koraidon, Fluttermane lead. Same lead they made last time. Now Dylan did Incineroar, Farigiraf. They switched up the lead, I believe. Because last time I think it was Urshi and Farigiraf or Incineroar. Urshi, Incineroar. What will Koraidon do? In this situation, I feel like Koraidon can go ahead and pick up a KO here if they just Terra. Terra Fire picks up a KO. But the thing is that you have that fake out pressure from the Incineroar. So do you just go ahead and protect? Do you just Moonblast into that spot, expecting them to switch in Urshifu? Let's see what Wolfe does. He goes ahead and turn 1 Terras with this Koraidon. Mind you, Koraidon is a Pokemon that has a very interesting ability called Orichalco Pulse. Sets up the sun and then also gives itself a boost to its attack, which is basically the opposite of Miraidon, who sets up electric terrain and gives itself a boost to its special attack. Koraidon's a flinching, but imagine if they wouldn't have, and then they would have gone for something else like Parting Shot or something like that. And then Farigiraf sets in the Trick Room, which is very beneficial for Dylan's team here. Saying the Trick Room is up now. There's nothing they can really do about that. That makes Dylan's Pokemon going to be the fastest on the field, which is scary for Wolfe in this situation because that means the Incineroar could be doing some big damage to Fluttermane. Farigiraf could be doing some big damage. Not enough maybe to one-shot these Mons, but chipping away is super serious in a lot of these games. Let's see what happens. Incineroar comes out to bring down that other Incineroar's attack and to possibly, depending on what they do here with Farigiraf, add that fake out pressure next turn. Koraidon no longer has the Life Orb, which double-edged sword could be a good thing or a bad thing for Wolfe. Maybe it wants to keep it around a little bit more. Yes, do less damage, but keep it around a little bit more. That side roar from Farigiraf into Incineroar looks super technically crazy and fancy. Really all it's doing is allowing it to go off for some damage and still switching out to Miraidon at the cost of the move that Farigiraf was going to use, which I believe at this point is Psychic, so it was a solid choice. Electric Seed boosts its defense. And now we have Miraidon versus Koraidon staring each other down, with Miraidon being faster because of Trick Room. I believe Protect is the only right answer here. If you get this call right and Miraidon goes for an Electro Drift into Koraidon, that frees up a free turn for you with Incineroar. But if you don't, that could be your Incineroar dead, completely maybe losing you the game again. Because we saw Incineroar going down early, game 1, ended up costing Wolfe a lot of positioning and momentum. Momentum really just means that you keep on chaining a series of events in the game that give you an advantage, which that is what Wolfe is very known for. Positioning also just means that you make the right moves to place the right Pokemon you need in the right spots to be able to take out the opponent's Pokemons as best you can, which means taking as little damage as possible and moving these Pokemon around. So let's see what happens here. We see Amoonguss coming out for the Incineroar. That means Incineroar is going to stay alive at full HP, which is huge. Wolfe still has Incineroar, Fluttermane, and Amoonguss at full HP. But Dill also has his Incineroar, his Miraidon, his Iron Hands, and his Farigiraf on screen available to him. Now, we know Wolfe's last Pokemon, and probably so does Dylan, because he assumes there's no no Perish Trap. So let's see what happens here. They already protected. They can't protect again. Incineroar would be a good play, but we also could just get a close combat kill, maybe. Let's see what they end up doing. Rage Powder could make Miraidon go into Amoonguss instead of Koraidon, and maybe that kills. But remember, that Life Orb has been knocked off, and with the Life Orb, it didn't kill last time. So, kind of makes you think if you are Dill. I don't know why my face is cutting off so much. Anyways, Incineroar, the great friend, comes out for Wolfe, which is just kind of ironic because Wolfe apparently doesn't like the Pokemon, even though he's the most winning person with Incineroar. Also, note, we will be getting an event Pokemon from this. And if we were to get Wolfe's Incineroar, that would be crazy. Super fun. If we were to get Dylan's, Iron Hands, Dylan's Miraidon, I don't think they're going to give a legendary away. So it'd be like a Farigiraf probably. Or Iron Threads, because Iron Threads has been popping off on his team. Either way, Protect goes through here, I think, on Incineroar, and then we Sludge Bomb on Amoonguss ends. Amoonguss is one of those Pokemons that's like very circumstantial. It's really good when you get it working right, but it can also be pretty bad if it doesn't have any Pokemon that's super effective against, or against Miraidon teams where it can't put anything to sleep because of electric terrain. If you don't know, electric terrain makes it so that nothing can be put to sleep, and it also powers up electric type moves. So it's super good for Dylan, but kind of super bad for Wolfe. Now, if the terrain was not up, this would be a completely different story, and basically everything on Dylan's team would be going to sleep except for Incineroar. But no, because Dylan's Incineroar is Rocky Helmet, so everything would be going to sleep. Let's see here. I believe he also has Covert Cloak. Oh no, it's Assault Vest. I just looking at the team preview wrong. But from here we have two teams basically neck and neck. But Dylan has now lost their Incineroar, which could be a big factor. Again, it seems like whoever loses Incineroar first loses the match. So let's see what happens here. It could still be super close because Miraidon is one of those Wrecking Ball Pokemon that will just come through and you're just gone. You disappeared. You don't know how you got there. You might as well have teleported into the death box in a PC. Miraidon Volt Switch ends up picking up that Incineroar kill, and now we see that it's gonna switch out for. Let's see what it switches out for. I would say Farigiraf is the only thing it has an option to right now, right? Yeah, because Incineroar is dead. So Farigiraf comes in, making priority, not priority. Electricity disappears, and that's why Dylan played that so well, because now they can reset their electric terrain, bringing Miraidon back in, which lets it use Electro Drift to the fullest of its ability, and Volt Switch if it wants to do that again. But at this point, I would imagine that it just Electro Drifts the whole time. So close combat into Farigiraf will kill it since it is at half, and I believe since there is no terrain at the moment, he's going to attempt a Spore on Iron Hands. I would say switching in Miraidon this turn would be the smartest thing to do. But at the same time, if you switch into that Farigiraf spot and Wolf catches you with a close combat, which is like what it looks like is going to happen right now, it could be dangerous. Yeah, you saved yourself from a Spore, but did you just get KO'd? Let's see what happens. Rage Powder coming through. They didn't Spore, they Rage Powdered. So maybe it was a worthless play after all. Close combat into that Miraidon. 75% of its HP gone, down the drain. Wow. Look what happens when you are Wolfe Glick. Let's take a moment to break that down. So as you guys saw, Wolf caught Miraidon on the switch with the Farigiraf going out. Miraidon setting back up the electric terrain to boost Iron Hand's attack, right? Maybe thinking that this guy was going for a Spore because now it could. That play right there could cost Dylan the rest of the match. But let's see how it ends up working out for them, right? Now, I think that was probably Wolf's most predictive play in the whole tournament so far, because he caught 75% off of Miraidon in one little turn without the Miraidon being able to do anything about it. I don't know if terrain was as necessary as Dylan maybe thought it was there. But again, a Spore into that Iron Hands would have cost Dylan the game as well. So maybe there was nothing that they could have done differently. Rage Powder coming through. So whatever attacks are going to go right into Koraidon aren't going to go there anymore. Now they're going to go. He just KOs Miraidon and is still above like 50 HP, which is incredible. Let's see. Heavy Slam goes into Amoonguss. It does end up picking up the kill. But at this point, the way that it's looking, Flutter Mane and Koraidon stand the test of time as the best leads and the best finishers. Farigiraf, though, is no pushover, and Iron Hands is still at full HP. Flutter Mane is too, and it has Focus Sash, so it will get an extra turn there. It all comes to see what we do here. Let's see if Flare Blitz can take this out. Oh, it's going to double into the hands. Let's see what it does. I wonder if this hands is bug Terra. I haven't looked at the Terras. I don't even know if Dylan used the Terra. Nope, they had not used the Terra yet this game. So they are going to go Terra, and it is going to be Poison Terra, which is interesting. So this is basically the team that won Birmingham first. It's not the Luca team, because that's the one that was running a Poison Iron Hands, which is an amazing typing for Iron Hands, by the way. Flare Blitz, will it kill? Will it get... Well, it took it out. It brought Wolf one step closer to getting a 1-1 into Game 3. Let's see how this ends up. Dylan is probably feeling the pressure now. Now, the only difference here is that Dylan has not had to deal with this type of pressure before. Wolf knows exactly how to deal with this type of pressure and has been in this situation many times. Now, their Koraidon is basically useless at this point, as you guys saw. -2 everything. Basically defenses, right? So anything is going to hurt it. I don't know if he tries to stall out the Trick Room here. He's taking his drink of water like he normally does whenever he's not sweating it, and giving himself a moment to think. Dylan here, he looks like he's also trying to compose himself from what just happened. Let's see what ends up happening. I believe Dylan ends up locking in the cancel battle, but it could still be a win. I mean, we don't know. Protect comes in for Koraidon, and let's see. Protect from Flutter Mane. What would have this Farigiraf do? Psychic into Koraidon. Okay, that's valuable information. So it's gonna kill one of them. It's not gonna kill both of them, and I believe Moonblast should pick up the kill here. So either way, Wolf picks up Game 2, and I'm pretty sure the crowd is not super happy about it. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Wolfe wanted. He was like, oh, I'm the underdog again? Well, let me show you guys why I've won so much. I really believe that this moments right here kind of determined the rest of it. I don't know about you. If I was in Dylan's shoes, I would be sweating so much. Like, I'm up against Wolfe. I don't know if Dylan was a subscriber or looked up to Wolfe in any way. But if I was there, I know I do and like the content that they make. And I'd be kind of like, oh, man, like, I'm getting shaken down by Wolfe Glick. Like, what am I to do here, right? That probably would have broke me. Dylan, though, super composed, I believe, in game 3. From what I could tell, is just like, no, I get your Wolfe. Look at that. I get your Wolfe. But I'm not here because it was luck. I earned my spot to be here at the finals of this Masters. Let's go ahead and fast forward into, see this switch, you're talking about the switch. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 3 because it is a little bit of time before it starts here. So let me hop right there. Remember, this is for all the marbles. This is for the championship. The winning person gets the EUIC title as, champion of EUIC, and also gets the 6K prize money. I believe second place gets 4K and so on and so forth. I think up to like 16th place gets like $750. But there's a lot of money that gets distributed at these things. But you obviously don't want 4K when you could have had 6K. With 1-1 each, this is anybody's game. Dylan has proven that he can beat Wolfe. Wolfe has proven that he can beat Dylan. Let's see how this ends up playing out. Again, the one thing I noticed is whoever's Incineroar goes out first is who ends up losing. Let's hope that doesn't stay true here, but we'll find out. Urshifu took so much damage from that Moonblast. That's something that Dylan had protected against before. Maybe the nerves are starting to get to Dylan, or it just wants to take out this Koraidon as fast as it can because it just did half of its damage to it, a little bit over. There's like a 60% damage to it. Koraidon, though, Wolfe needs you. So if you go down early, it could be very difficult for Wolfe to win. Let's see what ends up happening here. Wolfe specifically doesn't have a lot of tools to deal with a critical hit from Urshifu if it has its sash broken from Fluttermane. So, hopefully, let's see. I want Wolfe to win, obviously, because I'm a big fanboy. Dylan, I wish you luck in the future, and I want you to win everything you can as well. But just this round around, I want Wolfe to win because it'd be monumental. I hope you understand the, scope of it for me as a fan for him. To do it 3 times in a row. For you, I get it would have been amazing, or will be amazing when you win. So just let me know. Reach out to me specifically, DM me or something. Maybe we can set up an interview deal. Anyways, he Terra Ghost his Incineroar here. Realizing how precious it is to keep that Incineroar alive. Now it can't be faked out. Urshifu, though, does end up getting taken out. They thought Fluttermane was going to attack. Wolfe switched in Incineroar. Sucker Punch did not go off because the target wasn't there. It didn't do anything. But Koraidon does end up dying with Incineroar Flare Blitz from Wolfe's own son. This is just bananas. Like, we lost Urshifu, which is important for Dill, but we lost Koraidon, which is almost more important for Wolfe. Yes, everything else on this team does damage, but Koraidon was its big boom button. Like, now what is it going to do? It still has to deal with that Miraidon in the back. Here comes Fluttermane, though. Let's see what happens. Now, Fluttermane now has super effective damage onto Incineroar. This Incineroar on Wolf's side, though, has a lot of damage it can do with Flare Blitz on itself while the sun is still up. Remember, the sun is going to run out, so if he's going to use Flare Blitz to do Big Boom, it better me now. Let's see what happens, though. Withdrawing Incineroar is crazy at this moment of time, because that means that whatever's coming in is going to catch all of these attacks from these Pokemon. If that would have been a Moonblast instead of a Shadow Ball, I think that would have been crazy. But I think he thinks they're going to target the Farigiraf, so he brings in the Terrain again so that it can boost up the special defense, which honestly, I get that it could be strategic if you catch it right, but that's 2 times now that you've caught wrong and lost 75% of your damage. And now, because there's no Koraidon, you have a slow and faster Mon. So that means Wolf has this slower Incineroar that can do damage. I'm pretty sure the Incineroar is slower than the Miraidon. Yes, the Farigiraf might be slower than Incineroar, but if it only knows Psychic, it can't do anything to Incineroar. Let's see what ends up happening. Protect goes through on Fluttermane, I believe. And with the sun still up, Wolf is going to Parting Shot the Miraidon, bringing down his special attack and its attack. Attack it doesn't care about, but special attack it does. Switched out the Farigiraf for Dylan. Incineroar comes in to go ahead and, bring down Incineroar's attack. But with the Parting Shot coming in, it's basically like a losing battle. Yes, it is important for Parting Shot to go through here. Whatever Wolf brings in is going to take this full-on Electro Drift, or he called it right and protected the Fluttermane. Super interesting to see what this moment holds. Amoonguss, though, coming through with that Rocky Helmet will cause some chip damage to whoever hits it. Wait, it does not have Rocky Helmet. It has Mental Herb. I forgot about that. Meaning, this Amoonguss in this game is really the least used MVP Pokemon, because all it can really do is Rage Powder, which, is useful in itself, but it's not at its full utility. Like I explained in Game 2, the Terrain just stops it from setting up Spores, and there's nothing that really gets affected by the Sludge Bomb that it has. At this point, though, Wolf is tactically running out the Trick Room. I think it's going to go ahead and Rage Powder here and then just use Shadow Ball into Incineroar, which would be super effective. And Miraidon can't really switch in on it now, because if it switches in into the Incineroar spot, it's going to go ahead and pass out and not be able to do anything, because it's going to lose. What's going on here? Incineroar. Amoonguss, who I just thought was kind of useless this round, is going to go ahead and Terrasilize into Dark because it wants to catch the Psychic, but Farigiraf uses Helping Hand, and this Incineroar is about to go Big Boom on something. Will this Amoonguss end up dying? Flare Blitz comes through. Amoonguss is dead. Rage Powder was the right play. Terra Dark, maybe Wolf thought it was going to live it, but this Farigiraf can't really do anything now. Fluttermane takes out Incineroar. So, this next play is huge for either of them. This Farigiraf cannot damage Incineroar. This Fluttermane has intact its Focus Sash. Now, Dylan has Miraidon and Farigiraf. Now, I'm going to turn up the volume because I remember the commentary here thought what happened was bad, but listen.
Because if it can, then it can obviously get rid of it with a Moonblast. But if it still can't, it depends on the build of the Miraidon, of course. If it is one of these slower, bulkier build Miraidon.
Look what happens, and look at how. Listen to what they say.
To go for an electro drift into whatever target it wants.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. It all comes down to these last Pokemon remaining on at the field and how these speed interactions are going to play. It is a choice specs Miraidon, so we know it has no utility to be able to protect. Farigiraf goes for the Psychic. This is going to break the Focus Sash on that Flutter Mane, and if the Miraidon is able to move first, it's going to be able to get the knockout. Incineroar can go for the Flare Blitz here into Miraidon. It's not enough to get the KO, though. Wolf looking devastated due to the special defense drop. Burn coming through, but is it going to be too little too late? Miraidon in play to be able to still get a huge amount of damage off here with the Electro Drift.
Watch Wolf.
Here we go, which is it into the Flutterman, and it is going to be enough to pick up the Flutterman and take Dill one step closer to winning this championship.
That special defense drop coming in clutch for Dill.
I want you guys to understand. Oh no, I went way too back. I want you guys to understand what just happened. Because what just happened is kind of crazy. Let me go back here to where we just were. Okay, right there. I want you guys to understand what just happened, okay? So we have this 4v4, right? We have Miraidon, we have Incineroar, and we have Fluttermane. Now, the commentary made it seem like Wolf was upset because of the special defense drop. They made it seem like it was the worst thing on earth because look at Wolf. Oh, he's sad because they broke his sash. Oh, Miraidon does not get the kill. Burn. The burn comes in, though. And look what happens here. They target Fluttermane. Fluttermane gets KO'd. And oh no, Wolf is devastated, right? Wrong. Wolf knows in that single play that he won the tournament. Dill, look at Dill shaking his head, knows in that moment that Wolf won the tournament. The commentary is still a little confused and thinks that Wolf is upset. They don't look. I'll let you listen.
Situation.
Yeah, it's looking really difficult here. The burn does help, so you can protect maybe with Incineroar. Try and get that double protect off, because if you can get through. Let the burn tick down on that Miraidon.
So they still think, oh, it's a 2v1. Wolf is going to lose. Wolf knows that there is still Trick Room turns. If you saw the order, which Trick Room is Dylan's own thing, right? Remember game 1? Game 2 where the sun ended up costing Wolf his Koraidon. The end of this game, Trick Room ends up costing Dill the game. Why? Because you saw Farigiraf move first, then Incineroar, then Miraidon. Fluttermane didn't get to move, he got KO'd. Farigiraf is going to get to move first. Incineroar may have not killed last turn, but with another Flare Blitz, it will kill this turn. And then, Farigiraf, even though it's going to move first, has nothing to hit the Dark-type Incineroar. Unless this Miraidon was running Protect, which, spoilers, I ran a Protect Miraidon during this last GC because of this very, this very situation. There's nothing that Dill can do. Let's watch this.
Because then the Incineroar beats the Farigiraf.
The commentary still thinks that there's no way Wolf can win.
For Incineroar to do, so let's see if that is what we're going to see play out here. It's going to come right down to it, though. We are going to see just a Psychic come out from... Oh, it is into the Miraidon. It takes it down. So it is going to be knocked.
Dill knocked out its own.
Incineroar, because of the Trick Room still up, went for the Flare Blitz into the Miraidon, pick it up, knock it out, and now it locks the game. So Incineroar is able to close this out with Farigiraf's only...
For a second there, they were confused, but then they figured it out. When Dill... There we go. Wolfe Glick wins another major event. And, man, this man deserves it. Props to him the way he played. Dill, you played amazing as well. It was just that last moment right there. That really sealed the deal. As you can see, Miraidon does not die there. It gets burned, but not targeting the Incineroar was a big mistake. Electrodrift would have killed Incineroar. Then Fluttermane would have completely died next turn because it wouldn't have been able to move. Wolfe was hoping for this specific line, the way that it was set up, the way that everything worked. The burn ends up chipping away. Either way, the Flare Blitz would have won. This was one for the books. I appreciate you guys watching this video. This was such a good finals. Like, it doesn't get better than this. You have the underdog newcomer that becomes the favorite and makes the favorite become the underdog. Like, this situation was just a crazy story. The team that he used was Perish Trap. For most of the games he played were really good. We did not get to see him in the finals, but when you get to a set like this, you just want to win. And they both had 24 hours to prepare. With Dill, also, we didn't see no Iron Threads, which was also just not good against Wolfe's team. So both players did the best they could to make sure they brought the best and gave us a show. Thank you guys again for watching. I will catch you guys in the next time. Hopefully I can do another review like this of a big game. And comment down below which one I should do. I'm out. Bye.